This is Beer in Front, part of the Beer Media Group. Every week I'll talk to people in and around the beer world and get their stories all about beer. That's Beer in Front, and it's coming up now. Welcome to episode 240 of Beer in Front. I'm your host, Dave Zalatoris, and Beer in Front is a charter member of the Beer Media Group. It's January. People are cutting back on beer purchases, so I'm going to talk to Ray Stout from the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild about a new thing they have. It's called My Illinois Beer Fridge. So that's really cool. You could win yourself some gift cards to great Illinois breweries, so stay tuned for that. I mentioned on the show maybe a month or so ago that Illinois Brewing Magazine reached out to ask me questions for an upcoming issue. Well, the upcoming issue is out. So if you're at a fine establishment in the state of Illinois, like bottle shops or breweries, pick up the latest edition and look at page 12. If you don't already, follow me over on Instagram and TikTok and all of that. YouTube under Beer in Front. I put out a lot of videos over there. I'm doing one right now as we speak, and I'll have it out next week. I'm doing the Beer in Front Macro Challenge, where I'm having all of the big players of the macro beers, and I'm blind tasting them, scoring them, and then I'll announce the winner next week. I'll put that video out. I've had some of them so far, and I have not been happy with some of them. So stay tuned for that next week. I have interviews coming up with Love Christina Rose and a few other people, so there's going to be some good things happening on the audio podcast and over on social media. If you need to get a hold of me, you can email me, dave@beerinfront.com. If you have any show ideas or suggestions or beers you think I should try, feel free to get a hold of me and I'll look into it. Thank you very much. I've got a deal for Beer in Front listeners. Ritual Zero Proof is a line of non-alcoholic spirits that I think are really good. Now, I haven't tried them all, but they have a tequila, a whiskey, a gin, an aperitif. I've tried the gin. I did a video on this. I thought it was really good. I made a gin and tonic. But if you go to ritualzeroproof.com, use the code in the cart, you're going to save yourself 16%. Plus, I get a little cut of this, so it helps the show out. So you win if you want to try something non-alcoholic, and the show wins. So check out ritualzeroproof.com. Use the code in the cart. I'm going to try some of their other products. I want to try their whiskey. I want to try the rum, and especially the aperitif. But once again, I tried the gin. I went out and bought this on my own because I don't want to put an ad out that it's something I don't like. So I tried this for myself. I really liked the gin. So if you're looking for something for dry January, or you just want to cut back the alcohol consumption a little bit, check out ritualzeroproof.com and use my code in the cart. Welcome back. The Illinois Craft Brewers Guild is holding its third annual My Illinois Beer Fridge competition. January is usually a weak month in sales for all breweries, and this event will help encourage people to buy beer. Additionally, participants can win a gift certificate to a member brewery. Joining me from the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild is Executive Director Ray Stout. Ray, thanks for coming back, and Happy New Year, sir.
Hey, Happy New Year. Happy to be here and happy to chat for sure.
I love this idea for the My Illinois Beer Fridge. It seems like it's a win-win for everybody. How did this idea come to fruition?
You know, we came together at the guild level and, quickly realized that first quarter, January, February, March, are historically low sales for breweries for a variety of reasons, which I'm sure we'll get into today. But The idea is that while you don't have to consume alcohol during the month of January, there's nothing stopping you from stocking up your beer fridge, right? And I was out there in my garage and looking at my beer selection in my refrigerator outside and quickly realized, well, there's got to be a lot more people like me that have beer fridges in their garage. And wouldn't it be cool to, to encourage people to stock up for, the next few months by supporting these small businesses in January?
I mean, yeah, the whole winter season, I mean, outside of Super Bowl and St. Patrick's Day, there's not a lot of beer sales going on in the first quarter.
No, that's precisely right. And, a lot of breweries that I talk to, they create business winter plans that basically say, hey, how do we get to St. Patrick's Day, right? Which is kind of the kickoff to the springtime, craft beer season.
Now, do people have, 4 chances to win a gift card from a member brewery in January?
Yeah, we wanted to make it a little fun. And so, going from January 3rd through January 30th, each week we're going to pick a winner who has the most dynamic beer fridge. And, we try to make it easy, right? So step 1, you stock up on it, Illinois Craft Beer. Step 2, you take a picture of it. Step 3, you tag the brewery on their social media account, as well as hashtag #MyILBeerFridge. And then we're going to take a look at the fridges and we're going to vote on what we think is the most dynamic. Things we're looking for is that, we're looking for people who are intentional about picking products from different breweries or different parts of the state, because we want to encourage people to get out and explore.
Yeah, like my most recent episode, I talked to a friend of mine from the western suburbs, and it's like talking about all these places. Like, I need to get out more. I need to load up the iPass and just get out of here.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that we've always encouraged people to do at the Guild as a statewide organization is, we're making great beer in the state from north border to south border, east border to west border. And we're just very lucky to have these thriving small businesses here, and we need to make sure we're supporting them if we want to keep these small businesses viable.
Now, if somebody participates in Dry January, that doesn't mean you can't enter. Illinois is home to Go Brewing out of Naperville, Big Drop, that Contract Brews, if I remember right, over at Distill and Normal, Mash Gang and Years at Pilot Project in the city. All of them, they make outstanding beer, and in my opinion, much better than the big national brands that are out there. So you could load up on NA beers and enter as well if you want.
Without a doubt. And so, the one thing that we're telling folks is that, you don't have to let Dry January dry up your social life, right? And so there's an opportunity to explore our great NA beer scene. We have breweries across the state making delicious hop waters is another way to support them. A large number of breweries in the state of Illinois are also, operating full service restaurants. So there's nothing stopping you from going out and eating. Breweries are really leaning into events. So, they're going to be doing comedy nights and puzzle nights and trivia nights, and all that is geared to, making sure you still have a good time, whether you're drinking alcohol or not. And, one of the biggest changes we've seen in 2024 going into 2025 in the state of Illinois is the number of breweries that are also making intoxicating THC beverages. And that's another piece of the puzzle that, we're looking to gain regulation for in the new year. These are beverages that are non-alcoholic that, are dosed with, 5 to 10 milligrams of intoxicating THC derived from hemp rather than cannabis, which is why they're legal. And so, this has become a big marketplace for those products as well. So, even if you're enjoying the California sober lifestyle, we have something for everybody.
Yeah, you could go to Mars and get you some bong water if that's what you want.
Precisely right.
Yeah. All right, now hear me out, Ray. I'm thinking for 2026, stickers and magnets. You buy a 4-pack from a member brewery, you get a sticker. You buy a case, you get a My Illinois Beer Fridge magnet. Do you know how many idiots like me are out there in this state? We would jump through hoops to get a 10-cent sticker.
Man, Dave, you keep coming up with ideas like that. I'm going to put you on the payroll.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome. And you're precisely right. Consumer behavior is quite often driven by kind of the smallest incentives, and all that does is build out the branding and build out the name, and that could be the difference between somebody buying 3 4-packs or 4 4-packs, right? And so I think
Good for your
that's
beer
great.
fridge, absolutely.
Without a doubt. And then you're branded and then you're official. And so I love it. And so let's connect at the end of this year and get that rolling for 26.
Now, there's many factors contributing to the drop in beer sales. People, they're paying their credit card bills over the holidays. Maybe people received a lot of beer gifts during that time, or they're going to participate in Dry January. How are they preparing for this? Do they generally scale back on production in the first quarter?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And so if you look at the production data submitted to the Department of Revenue, Illinois Department of Revenue, you'll see beer production kind of bottoms out in January and starts to tick back up in February. And and that's for a variety of reasons. One of the things that we're seeing also is that wholesalers are having record high inventories of craft beer, right? So, they're buying less from the brewery because they already have some on hand to get rid of. And breweries tend to, go really hard into kind of the heavier seasonal beers that do really well around Christmas time and start to kind of dissipate throughout the beginning of or the end of the winter. And so, breweries are prepared for this gully. But it's something that is tough. And, as I mentioned before, a lot of breweries have business plans. All right, how do we get through January to St. Patrick's Day? And a lot of them, have to make very, very tough decisions on how they continue to operate their business. But that's precisely right.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to have this glut of hoppy IPAs that are going to go bad by the time sales pick up again in the spring.
You want to drink them. You want to drink them fresh. And so, and also it's a time where people go on vacations, and you'll see breweries reduce their hours or close specific days just to make things right on their end. And it's something that everybody's trying to find the secret sauce. We're still hovering, just around 300 breweries in the state of Illinois. In 2024, we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 closures is what I'm counting. And 11 openings. So, this is going to be the first year in a long time that we have a net loss in the number of breweries in the state of Illinois. But that's something that's not abnormal. The Brewers Association just announced very similar statistics on a national level. So we're keeping track. We're kind of at a place where we're 1 in, 1 out. We're seeing breweries go into spaces vacated by previous breweries. So, monochrome brewing going into the low res spot is a good example of that. And so, we're seeing a little bit of everything in the state of Illinois, and, right around 300 breweries seems to be the magic number for us.
Yeah, I know a lot of people weren't expecting like Revolution to close the Milwaukee Avenue location. Steep Ravine, formerly Ravinia, closing their one on Diversey. So at least they're still, have their other locations, and hopefully they're doing well.
Without a doubt. And, I was on a call with the Brewers Association the other day, and Bart Watson, who used to be their chief economist, now their CEO, said something really profound. And I think it really resonates with me, is that, he used a baseball analogy, right? I know we're in the middle of winter, but let's start thinking about how many games the White Sox could lose next year too, right? And so, what he said is that it used to be field of dreams, right? Craft brewing used to be, if you build it, they would come. If you're making craft beer, people are going to show up. But now you need to operate your business a lot more like Moneyball, right? You need to be very ingrained in trends and statistics and what's working and what's not. And you need to keep pace with changing, drinking culture. You need to keep pace with changing trends. And, that's something that breweries, our job's the guild to kind of keep them up to date with what's happening on a more macro level for them to make, important business decisions for their small businesses.
I was reading earlier that there's like this big surplus in available hops, and actually hop acreage, I think, lost about 15 to 20% in 2024. So there's this huge surplus market, which I'm assuming will be good for breweries. You could load up on, last year's hops at a good price, probably not good for hop growers in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. And so, beer production is down, right? Craft beer production is down. Craft beer production is down in the state of Illinois. I haven't received the final 2024 numbers, but, we're probably hovering around 400,000 barrels, somewhere in that neighborhood, which is what been our sweet spot for years. In terms of hoppiness, IPA and double IPA continues to be kind of king in the craft beer culture, but we are seeing a significant increase in some of the less hoppy, more traditional styles, like lager beer being sold in 12-pack formats is doing gangbusters, right?
Yeah.
And that's something we completely wrote off 5 years ago because everybody was moving to 16-ounce, 8% double IPAs, right? And so just to see kind of the cyclical change of things, and and Illinois is poised and has adopted those changes really well. We have some of the best lager breweries in the country right here in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, I know. For 5-6 years, you kept hearing, 2018 is going to be the year of the lager. 2019, finally, I think in 2024, they were right.
I think they're right. And so we're seeing, in terms of, package format, the two package formats that are winning are the big 19.2 ounce cans, which are sold at the convenience store. So you'll see, those Voodoo Ranger type cans where they try to stuff as much alcohol as possible into this giant can. And then we're seeing, more traditional low alcohol volume styles being sold in 6-pack 12-ounce cans or 12-pack 12-ounce cans be the other kind of winning format right now in the state of Illinois.
One of the things that I see a lot coming up is tariffs. So starting next month, you're going to see an increase in tariffs. How do you think this is going to affect breweries in Illinois, where there's a lot of malt that's grown in Canada? I mean, it might not affect everyone, but places like Goldfinger and Dovetail that do mostly European style beers, I'm sure they source a lot of their grain and hops from Europe. How do you see this affecting Illinois breweries?
So I'll tell you, when it comes to craft beer, it's always been an industry of very tiny margins, right? So you make your money in your volume with craft beer. And, that has been continued to ring true throughout the pandemic and post-pandemic, when we've had kind of inflationary spending on our pressures on kind of every input of beer, whether it's ingredients or whether it's labor or whether it's, package format, right? And so, anything that would increase the cost pressures on craft breweries shrinks that margin. And, there's only so much you can do to increase the cost of a pint of beer until somebody says, no, thank you, go to hell, right? And so, it's not like when you're in the loop and you get your bill for that one cocktail you had and it was $25. Nobody's paying $25 for a pint of beer. And so, I think everything that's putting pressure on these breweries, shrinking margins, is hurting this industry. And so it's something we need to be cognizant of. I think to kind of take it a step beyond that, and a lot of what these craft breweries do is regulated by the TTB, which used to be the ATF, which is their kind of regulatory body at the federal level for alcohol. And, breweries need to submit label approvals, and they need to submit recipe approvals and ingredient approvals to the TTB. And, if we're talking about raising tariffs and also scaling back the size and effectiveness of the federal government, that's going to slow down that process too, right? And so those are two kind of national things that we're watching pretty closely that will have pretty direct impact on craft brewers.
Now, I noticed the mayor of Chicago, he floated an idea of increasing alcohol tax by almost a third. I don't think it passed, but I didn't read the final budget last week. Did that go through?
No. So one of the big fights that we took on was to oppose that at the aldermanic level and with the mayor's office. And, we were successful in having that taken out of the budget, which is great. And so I'm told from people who've been around a lot longer than me, that was the first time there was ever a successful fight against an alcohol excise tax increase in the city of Chicago over the past 40 years. And so that was a pretty significant win, and something that, the Guild was very, very involved in terms of turning out members and building mind space around it. Even one of our brewers was on the cover of the Tribune, sitting on his stack of beer, Damon from Moore's Brewing. And so, we got the word out pretty fast and pretty heavy. And, one thing, when people think about, businesses, they loop these independent craft breweries in with these larger corporate breweries, right? Could, InBev weather a little bit of a tax increase? Probably. But could dovetail? Maybe not, right?
Yeah.
And so this is the thing, we need to continue to differentiate ourselves from these macro breweries and from some of these other kind of spirit producers that are making, record revenue at this point.
Are there any other laws that are going to hit the books on January 1st going to affect the breweries, beer consumers like us?
No, it was pretty quiet in Springfield when it came to beer laws last legislative session. We are gearing up for a new legislative session. We have a couple of fights that we're trying to fix. But in terms of beer, it was relatively quiet. In terms of kind of employment law, which affects breweries in a variety of different ways, which we don't have to get into because it's a little nerdy. It does have an impact on the kind of the operation of the business. But in terms of beer, at least as of right now, we are safe from excise tax increases. We are safe from bottle bills. We are safe from a lot of other things that were floated last session that we were able to kind of successfully fend off.
All right. Well, before we wrap things up, if we didn't have enough doom and gloom, I've talked before. Ray and I are the most miserable people in this state, being Chicago Bears fans and New York Jet fans. What happened, Ray? Everyone had their hopes up in August. What the hell happened?
It is a miserable existence. Yeah. I will tell you, for some reason, mostly because God probably wants to test me a little more, they decided to play the Jets game on TV this past Sunday. Yeah. And, I was watching with my son. I was watching it first, and he was like, "Oh, the Jets are on." He came down, and he sat down. And just as, the Bills punted the ball, and it ended up on the 5-yard line, I was like, this is going to be a safety, Finn. And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Because it's the Jets." And then I turned to him right in his face, and I was like, "You don't have to like this team. I like this team, but you don't have to like this team. And I don't want to do this to you. I don't want to force you to like this team." He's like, no, I'm a Jets fan. And then sure enough, the next play, Aaron Rodgers is sacked in the end zone for a safety and probably becomes the most sacked quarterback ever on that same play. And, it just makes me question my allegiance. Although, I told my wife, I was like, you don't have to worry about me cheating on you, because if I could stay loyal to these guys, I could stay loyal to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, Aaron Rodgers has been the bane of our existence for 15 years. He beat the brains out of the Bears for so many years, goes to the Jets. You're like, all right, this is a win-win. The Bears can finally beat Green Bay. He'll do well with the Jets. Everybody wins. Nope. That's why we drink, Ray, because Bears and the New York Jets.
I'll tell you, and the way that they're treating Caleb Williams and running this organization is exactly what I've watched the Jets do for the past decade. And it breaks my heart that, I have all these friends in the neighborhood, like, walking around about how miserable they are, but, at least they fired the coach. It's going to be okay. At least they fired. I was like, no, that's the beginning of the end, guys. It doesn't get better from that.
Yeah. What do we have? What was it? 2010, I think, was the last year. Both were good at the same time. Yeah, it's just miserable.
I'll tell you, I was at Lunar Brewing up in Villa Park the other day to meet up with a couple of people, a couple of brewery owners, and I was standing there, and they play Jeopardy. It's kind of the thing that they do in the afternoon. When Jeopardy comes live, everybody in the brewery watches Jeopardy. It's fun. And the question was, this team won the Super Bowl before a man walked out on the moon and hasn't been back yet. What's the team? And I was like, it's the Jets. I yell out, it's the Jets. And sure enough, it was the Jets.
Well, 2025's got to be better, because it can't get any worse.
You're telling me.
All right. So you need to go stock up on Illinois beer. Take pictures of it. Tag the breweries. Tag the guild. Use the hashtag #MyILBeerFridge. Win yourself a gift card. I started yesterday. I hit up Benny's. I loaded up. So I'm ready. I'm getting ready to throw out milk. I'm going to throw out salad dressing. I'm getting rid of lunch meat. And I'm going to load the fridge up, and you should do so as well. So, Ray, thank you again for coming on. I always love talking to you. One of these days, we're just going to have to sit down and watch a Jet game together. Maybe the Bears play the Jets next year or something. We'll just have to sit and be miserable together. It'll be like a 0-0 tie.
I'm into that idea 100%.
All right, Ray. Thanks again for coming on. Have a great, happy new year. And I'll talk to you probably in a couple months.
Awesome. Bye, dude.
All right, take care. All right, the beer I'm going to have now out of my Illinois beer fridge is Cactus Pants. This is a Mexican-style lager from Buckle Down Brewing out of Lyons, Illinois. I'm a huge fan of Mexican-style lagers. Now, the fine people at Buckle Down put this right on the can that this product does not contain cactus or pants, so that's good to know. So let's crack this open. Before I do, though, the can is wonderful artwork. Big fan of the artwork on this can, so big thumbs up to Buckle Down there. Let's crack this open and give it a try. Cactus Pants has a nice, beautiful light color. Maybe a little hazy, but not quite sure. No, it looks good. Good couple fingers of foam here. Smells good. I'm liking it. Like the aroma. It's a nice, crisp lager smell. It's good. Good flavor. Good malt backbone here. I really like the flavor. There's good sweetness from there. Tastes really good. Almost has like some Vienna malt, although the color doesn't look that dark, but I do get, maybe there's Vienna malt in here, but there's some sweetness like that, which I'm kind of digging. I think this is good. I love this style. So if you're around and you see Cactus Pants from Buckle Down, they're really good. I was out there once, maybe 8 or 9 years ago with my buddy Ben. Really enjoyed the facility there. I like the beers that they have. I just wish I could find more of them, closer to me, but I am a big fan of everything that I've had from Buckle Down. So if you see anything from them, especially this Cactus Pants, put it in the cart and put it in your Illinois beer fridge. Discover Harpoon Shop, your ultimate destination for the finest in apparel, glassware, and souvenirs from Harpoon Brewery directly from the source. Elevate your style with their exclusive collection of clothing, perfect for showcasing your love of craft beer. You can get glassware, bunch of different swag. So you definitely have to check out Shop Harpoon Shop. If you go to their website, and I'll include the link in the show notes, if you use the code in the cart, you're going to get yourself a discount and you're going to help the show out as well. But they have everything there, glassware, hoodies, T-shirts, everything you want. Harpoon is a great old school brewery. Now I'm going to have to go pick up another one. I had a Harpoon Brewery T-shirt when I went to the brewery years ago. So I wish more of their stuff would make it to the Chicago area, but it's not. But definitely check it out. If you go to their website, shop.harpoonbrewery.com, check it out. Use the code in the cart. You're going to get 25% off, and it's going to help the show out. So please head over to shopharpoonbrewery.com. All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Beer in Front. I thank you very much for listening. I want to thank once again Ray Stout from the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild for coming on and talking about my Illinois beer fridge. So load up your fridge, take some pictures, and win yourself a gift card. I'll talk to you next week. Remember, sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet.